Roy Demeo. Roy Demeo. One of my most dedicated soldiers. Roy Demeo and the Demeo crew, as it would come to be known, is believed to be responsible for around 200 bodies. It's believed that he killed around 70 people on his own. Attaboy, Roy. But how did we get here? It seems to be something of a divine nature. This is why the last time that Roy was seen alive and suspected murder was on his daughter's birthday. And his wife died on his birthday in 2002. He has a life path number of 3. He spent 15,465 days on Earth, a Virgo. In the Chinese zodiac, he's a metal dragon. Also, Roy's headquarters, the Gemini Lounge, not a coincidence. He wasn't a butcher's apprentice by chance either. This was divine intervention. The Gemini method. The Gemini represents twins, as Roy was said to possess twin personalities. On one hand, a charming, loving, fun, light-hearted, jolly fellow. On the other hand, a psychopathic, sociopathic, maniacal, diabolical, bloodthirsty demon. There were also 2 Demeo crew members, Joey Testa and Anthony Center, who were known as the Gemini twins. We'll get back to them. What makes Roy tick? What motivates him? According to the Open Scroll, a list of satanic holidays, Roy's birthday, September 7th, is a satanic holiday known as Marriage to the Beast. Also, the day Roy's body was found, January 20th, is the start of a week-long celebration called abduction, ceremonial preparation, and holding of a sacrificial victim for candle mass. September 7th, 1940, was the day that the word Blitz was used for the first time. The Blitz was a German bombing campaign against the United Kingdom in 1940 and 1941 during the Second World War. The term was first used by British press and originated from the term Blitzkrieg, the German word meaning lightning, war. September 7th, 1940 would be the first of 57 days of consecutive bombing. A very fitting day for Roy to be born. The #1 song on the Billboard charts was I'll Never Smile Again by Tom Dorsey and Frank Sinatra. Roy Albert Demeo, the 4th of 5 children, was born into a working-class Italian immigrant family in Flatland, Brooklyn. Where did Roy go wrong? Or right? What is wrong or right? What does it mean? Roy, who was known to be an overweight kid, was the subject of many overweight jokes, bullying, and teasing from other kids in the neighborhood. His only safety, his only protection, his older brother, Tony. Tony was nicknamed Chubby. He always shielded his kid brother Roy from neighborhood bullies whenever he was around. But Roy's security blanket, Tony, would go on to join the Marines and find himself in the Korean War. On April 23rd, 1951, as fate would have it, at the tender age of 20 years old, Tony lost his life fighting for the country. Young Tony was buried with full military honors, but his death would change the dynamics of the Demeo household, especially with Roy. It's believed that this was Roy's turning point, his ticking point, what changed him, what caused him to snap. It said that good boy Roy became cold-hearted, cold-blooded, calculated. Something was born inside of him in 1951. Or was it already there? Waiting to be disturbed, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be appreciated. Instead of being bullied, he becomes the bully. A rude awakening for anyone who was used to getting cheap entertainment on the account of Roy's misery. A soldier of the Gambino family, Nino Gaggi, took notice to Roy in 1966 and persuaded Roy to work with them. Roy would eventually become a made member in 1977. His first murder occurred in July of 1973 at age 32, but I know Roy. If I had to bet, I'd say Roy killed somebody way before then. And like many other mobsters, Roy would eventually become a hitman for hire as well as carry out hits on orders. So what makes Roy stand out? What makes him special? Former Gambino underboss and Mafia turncoat Sammy the Bull Gravano was involved in at least 19 murders himself, and even said that Roy Demeo gave him the creeps. Roy would kill for sport, for fun, for any reason, or no reason at all. It was always a good day to kill. Practice makes perfect. I gotta keep my guys sharp, Roy was quoted as saying. January 10th, 1983, Roy Demeo attended a meeting at one of his crew members, Patty Tess's house. There are rumors and speculation about what actually happened, but around 10 days later, January 20th, he was found in the trunk of his own abandoned car. The Gemini twins, remember them? The dual personalities that Roy exuded within the spaces of the Gemini Club, his head, quarters, all that energy he conjured up there, that he directed, that he orchestrated within or without the duality of the twins. It makes sense that the duo who were part of his own crew dubbed the Gemini twins would be the spirit that consumed him. And Roy would have respected this. Who actually pulled the trigger or triggers that killed Roy is up for speculation, but who ordered the hit is not. Paul Castellano was eventually indicted with the murder of Roy, but would never face prosecution as he himself would be gunned down before his trial began. In the end, Roy would be officially credited with about 38 killings. These are the victims who have been identified, but thanks to the Gemini method, aka doing the Houdini as Roy would call it, the majority of the bodies were never recovered. Around 200 is the number that most people agree on. Demeo would jump out and shoot the person in the head with a silenced pistol and immediately wrap the head with a towel. Another crew member would stab the person's heart to get the body to stop pumping blood out of the wound. The body would be hung in the bathtub until the blood drained from it. The body would be placed on plastic sheets, dismembered, and sent out to the Fountain Avenue dump in Brooklyn. When you consider all the factors that molded Roy Demeo, it's hard to determine whether Roy chose the dark side or if the dark side chose Roy. Was this life imitating art, or art imitating life? It's up for debate, but what's not up for debate is that Roy Albert Demeo is one of the hardest hitters in history.